in 1869, a Sir Charles Warren was searching on Mount Herman, the supposed Mount Herman that we're told of in Jerusalem. And he was about 9,232 feet above sea level. And he found a temple. And this temple was in a spiral way that it was built. And supposedly him going into the temple, he found a plate that had an inscription on it that he couldn't really decipher, so he ended up carrying it down off the mountain. It ended up splitting in two, and it was very hard to decipher. And they still actually don't know what language it is, but they believe it's some form of like the first form of ancient Greek. And the translation is actually you can actually find this. I looked it up, and it was actually a real thing. The guy is actually a real guy. And suppose this is the translation. It says, according to the commandments of the greatest, most holy God, those who took the oath proceed from here. And it's very telling. And I made a video about this and put it on my TikTok. I actually found this out through Now You See TV with John Pounders and David Carrico. I like to branch out with the different truth seeking alternative truth people I listen to. I don't agree with everyone's interpretation on the word, but I do believe that looking at different perspectives, you're able to kind of gather in the full truth of it. But that was one thing that I was wondering if you've ever heard of.
I've not heard of that specifically, but Mount Hermon gets its name from the place where it is said that those 200 watchers descended and bound themselves by mutual imprecation, took an oath, in order to go ahead and leave their heavenly state. Like, this is what he's talking about in First Peter in the book of Jude, where it says those angels, those messengers who kept not their first estate, their heavenly estate, but came down and made themselves with women, right? They are bound in chains of darkness until the judgment. That is literally what it says they did. And that's literally what it says they got that name from. And I believe that's right up on the Syrian border. It's like the highest place there. And there's a big temple of Nimrod that's like a United World Heritage or UNESCO site, that's guarded and treasured land. You know what I mean? You can't go dig there and look what's inside there.
The United Nation actually has a base up on some place of Mount Herman as well, right next to the Nimrod Fortress as well, which is pretty interesting. And what's pretty fascinating, that I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so I'm in the Mississippi area, the like Mississippi, I forget what they call it, but like kind of the Appalachian Mountain area. And this book is called Giants on Record, and this is by the Jim Rivera and Hy Newman. And these guys totally went through the newspaper history of all the archaeological digs in America, and they put it into a book. And this has all the unusual archaeological discoveries in America that were hidden, that were discovered, and the Smithsonian came in and took them away. And what's really fascinating is that I live in Pittsburgh, and so there's history all around me. And I actually found out that in this book that there was a mound in McKees Rocks, and it was actually the biggest mound in North America, or not North America, in Pennsylvania. Sorry, it's the biggest mound in Pennsylvania, and it was in McKees Rocks. And the Smithsonian came in and totally destroyed it. But when they did, they actually reported in the Smithsonian documents, that they found giant bones. And I actually went down there and filmed the video about it and showed an older video, or an older picture of what it used to look like to compared to what it is now. It's a baseball field now. But when I was down there, you could feel the spiritual tension. And because you got to understand that this land was the land of the plumed serpent, and they worshipped this serpent. Most of them were a serpent cult.